That is also when Gdansk was created. It appears for the first time in historical sources in 996, when it's mentioned by Saint Adalbert of Prague, that there is this city which he called Gdansk, which was on the Baltic Sea, and that separated the Polish ruler from the sea. But then Mieszko the first Polish ruler, did build a stronghold on what is today Gdansk. What is also fascinating is that the city, just as Warsaw was completely destroyed at the end of the Second World War, the Germans made it into a Festung, just as they did with Wrocław, or Breslau as it was known back then, and practically defended it to the last man, and the Soviets naturally bombarded it into 1,000 pieces. Naturally a horrible event, but for archaeologists it did open a window of opportunity, and they did some serious excavations in the areas of Old Town under all these ruins, and they found that there were remnants of an old city from the second part of the 10th century. So already back then there were some quite impressive buildings in Gdansk, but later in historical sources, after it being mentioned in 996, there isn't really anything else in the 10th and 11th century. It reappears again in the 12th and 13th in historical sources, when this Polish tribe that ruled Pomerania was starting to focus more and more on Gdansk. They started taking in some German migrants. This was a general trend, the so-called Ostsiedlung, which really started speeding up in the 13th century with a movement of German city dwellers to Polish cities, and they appeared in cities such as Poznań, in Krakow as well, and in Gdańsk. Later on, actually, the city's history is complicated with the Teutonic Order being invited initially to fight against Baltic tribes, and they completely killed off all the old Prussians, which were a Baltic tribe that later gave name to Prussia and the Germans that lived in Prussia. But initially, these were a Baltic tribe. The Teutonic Knights took control of the area, and they started laying claims to Gdańsk as well. Finally, there was this confederation created, the Prussian Confederation, a number of cities, including Gdańsk, which had enough of Teutonic rule, and they appealed to the Polish king to come and save them. And in 1454, the Polish king accepted and took them in, which led to a war, the 13-year war with the Teutonic Knights. The Poles finally won it, and Gdańsk became a natural part of what would later be the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Even though the population was very mixed, still a lot of Germans, Dutch, Scottish people. It was really a mix of many peoples in that area. There were also some Balts that were settled. So a very multicultural city, but very attached to the traditions of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and definitely identifying itself with that state. However, in 1457, they were also given the so-called Great Privilege, which was basically a recognition of the Polish king of autonomy for the city of Gdańsk, which was also Poland's largest, most populous city at the time, probably also the richest from all the, thanks to the Great Privilege. It had excellent tax arrangements, so to say, with the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and all the grain trade that went through the Vistula had to pass through Gdańsk, which was at the mouth of the Vistula. And they made enormous money from that timber trade, grain especially. So it was a city, because sometimes today you hear in Germany that, oh, Gdansk is Danzig, and it has zero Polish history at all, and nothing could be further from the truth.
Yes.
It has a very complicated and complex history, but to say that there was no Polish component is ludicrous.
Adam, sorry, I'm just going to have to stop you there. As usual, the clock has defeated us, but we'll pick it up next time. There we are. I've had to interrupt Adam almost in mid-sentence, but fear not, if you join us next time on Poland Daily History, as we hope you will, we'll pick up the story. Until then, thank you for watching.